It's a time for a package from China. Wow, this thing is massive. Yeah. Absolutely, flawless victory. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to take a close look at the Pandora's Box 80S Pro Edition. It has been sent in by a store, yeah. And the reason why I wanted to review it, because a lot of you were requesting this for a very long time. So guys, this one is for you. So let's take a close look. What is this multi-in-one home game station, or called the Pandora's Box 80S Pro? So what we're going to get in this package is basically the same with all the Pandora's boxes. A USB cable, we can connect this device to your PC if you want to. VGA cable, if you want to go old school. An HDMI cable, a very long one, looks like a quality one. And of course we're going to get a power cord, depends which region you're living. And of course a 12-volt power supply. And then we need to assemble the ball top with this version. That is something that is more like a common thing nowadays. So let's do that and let's be funky. But you already can see it here. So it's not this version. I'm hoping I can check out this version in the future, because I have never seen something weird looking like they're gigantic controllers with arcade controls. Well, but we're going to take a close look at this version. Yeah, it's a ripoff from the Capcom Home Arcade that I reviewed a very long time ago. The multi-game family box. I'm very curious, how good is this device? What kind of specs does it have? A lot of you were requesting it and I'm super curious. What are we going to get? So that's what we're going to do. Let's take a close look at it and let's unbox it. Or remove the box, you know. Game time! Okay, so the only thing that you need to do is put the dust cap on. There's also a separate piece of plastic that goes over to the joystick. Alright, so let's put the ball top on. And that's it. I can tell you that this thing is very high. I don't know if this is going to be very comfortable. So when you're going to put them side by side, the Capcom and the fake one from China, you can see that there are some similarities. The form factor, it's looking like the Capcom Home Arcade. But fun fact is that the Capcom is a completely different mold. So when you're going to put them side by side, or better said, the Capcom in front of the Chinese version, you can see that the Chinese version is way bigger. Or better said, is way higher. You can't really see that it's bigger, but I can tell you that the Capcom stick is completely different. Maybe the top part looks a little bit similar, but it is completely different. So where the Capcom got this very nice plastic edge, a very thick acrylic, the Chinese version has a completely different, let's say, quality. So besides the size, the measurement, everything is different, including the thickness of the acrylic plate. And it's completely a little bit sharp in the edges, but I think this is more like the vinyl sticker that is on top. Okay, but then the question, how is the button quality? Yeah. The Capcom is really using the real Sama parts. Oh man, it feels just amazing. And with the Chinese, you can hear it. Oh, yeah. But in short, I wanted to know, is this Chinese version a ripoff from the original Capcom? No, it isn't. Maybe the top looks a little bit like the, let's say, the Capcom, but the shape is completely different. This thing is made of very thick plastic. And this made of metal. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So the artwork itself, compared with the weird shape, because it needs to be the Capcom, it looks better than on the picture of the manual itself. They're going to put more like arcade on it. But the image itself, like the character you can see here, is a little bit stretched out. But yeah, maybe I'm a little bit picky about it. So my blue dust cover did came in cracked. I just put it over there. It's not a big of a deal, I have a couple of them laying around. But let's talk about the buttons. The buttons are not super bad. But what kind of buttons are these? They are just the typical Chinese buttons. Quite long travel. The microSWITch beneath it is not getting a nice touch. They feel like really cheap buttons. They will do the trick for most people, but if you want to have a real arcade experience, I really recommend just get quality buttons. Maybe some people will like this, like the length of the joystick. I find it a little bit weird in my opinion. Most of the time they're using more like these weird Sama clones. But if you are like a big fan of Street Fighter and you're familiar with, let's say the games, you will find these joysticks not very comfortable to play. So most of the time there are some Pandora's boxes out there that have more like soundbar upgraded parts. I love those things because they are just out of the box and they play amazing. This wiggle joysticks from China, that's what I like to call them. But it also got a very basic layout. So having this 6-button layout, for the people who didn't know, there are always a different version out there, like different setup from the buttons, but also 8-button layouts. And 8-button layouts can be very handy when you're plugging this machine in, like an arcade machine, and not to forget, some Pandora boxes support it. And of course, both have like 2 buttons over here, for the pause and for the start, for play 1 and play 2. But okay guys, so when looking at the casing, I was surprised. And the reason why, because this thing is fully made of metal. I was expecting to have more like the plastic fantastic casing. The feet are more like these feet you can find on basic amplifiers with this very nice filter under it. I do like it. Here we're having the speaker. But let's open it up and let's check out which kind of speaker we're having. And there are two holes over here, and these are needed, yeah, if you want to remove the top cover. But that's something I'm going to show you later on. Okay, so at the back we're going to get 2 on and off switches over here, and we're having here all the connectors. This one is turning the system on and off, and this one is for the LED function. The connections are all the same with almost all Pandora's boxes. Input for 12-volt power supply, HDMI, VGA output. Take consideration not every VGA is compatible with all the CRTs. We're having audio, volume control, configuration button, and we're having 2 USB ports, and most of the time only one can be used for adding a controller. So yeah, you can basically use this thing like in a dedicated game machine and add a controller for player 3 and player 4. Oh boy, opening this thing up, that is going to be a pain in the butt. Yes, my fellow YouTubers, watchers and retro gamers. And the reason why I'm telling you like this, because I don't know how else to tell you. You need to remove the 3 screws over here. And the reason why, then you can open it up. But I can tell you this casing is pretty damn messed up. Because it looks nice, it looks fancy. But at the end when you're opening it up, you can see that it is not very good put together. I'm talking nonsense, don't you hear it? Splendid, let's go further with the review. So if you want to remove the buttons and the joystick, it is possible, but what I hate about this casing, when you lift it up, normally you can just lift it up, put a screwdriver between it, or it just stays open and you can replace everything. But you can see that it's really squeezed in, and that is not a very good thing. Oh, and another thing is like a problem with this construction. It doesn't go further open, so you need to remove. You know that I told you about the holes at the bottom? This is why you need it for. You need to remove the 4 freaking parkers from the acrylic plate, and then you can lift open the freaking thing. Oh boy. Man, this is a really messed up situation. But I'm not going to do it, I'm just going to rip there and down the main board. Give you a quick peek inside, so you can see how everything has been added. So what I like about is that they are using let's say the soundbar clones. Basically you can replace them if you want to replace them with real soundbars. Just basically hot swap. Like remove 4 screws, pull out the cable over there, and you're just done. The same goes with the buttons. You just squeeze in and you can pop them out. And this is the famous LED strip that they didn't even add normally. Oh man. And this is more like a 3 or 5 watt speaker. And here we're having the main board itself. Then we're going to rip and tear from this machine. So I also know that they're only using 2 screws because it's basically loose from the other half. Yeah, seriously. But let's take a close look at the main board itself. What is this 18S all about? Is this brand new? Is this board just produced? Now I can tell you that no, it isn't. When you're looking at the date when this PCB was produced, it's 2019-11-08. So it's quite funny. So I was thinking, okay, so this board is old. When you take a close look at the sticker, you can see they basically slapped a sticker over a sticker. So this means one thing, they're just relabeling old main boards, and I'm guessing they are more like putting different software or a new interface on it. Yeah, so that's what they are doing. We're having here the Wi-Fi chip for the Wi-Fi capabilities. They put some hot glue this time on it, on the connection, so it's very good. So if you're having problems, you can always check this. But let's do a removal of the fan, because I'm curious, what is the chip beneath this thing? It's kind of funny and sad that they just slapped more like a piece of thermal paste on this. Okay. Let's take a close look at the chip, because, oh man, I can really see it. This is not that great. But I'm not surprised to see that they're still using this AM logic chip. Is the S812. I will move it around so you can read it on the video. So it's basically the same chipset like the Pandora Games 3D, for example. So is this ADS really new? Not really. And the same goes for the RAM over here. 4 chips in total. If I'm saying it correctly, it's 2 GB of RAM capacity. So over here we're going to get the CF card. This is 128 GB. So we're looking at the sticker, it says also 128 GB. But in total, it seems to be having 8,000 games. So damn it, that's a lot. And like the fan, it's the same story all over again. Yeah, these fans, well, they are quite silent nowadays, so that's not a big of a deal. I'm just going to put the demo paste like it was. Nevertheless, let's power on this thing and let's see what we're going to get. Let's put this thing back together. Alright guys, so when booting up, oh man, it's the same freaking menu. But for the people who are not familiar with it, so let's do a quick overview, so you know what you're going to get. But every time we're going to switch between the game, you're going to get a small preview over there. All the way up, this is the all list, so all the games are basically in this list slapped together. We give a categorized system. This device has some support for PSP, Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 and 64, NES, Super NES, Game Boy Classic, Color and Game Advance. They still didn't fix the Mega Drive with the Xbox 360 logo. Sometimes they fix it, sometimes they don't. It's kind of weird. We're having here the PC Engine. So we're having a lot of different systems that can run on it, and also the MAME stuff. So I'm very curious how are the performance of the board. I think I already know. For the people who didn't know, I don't know. Let's try some games. Okay, so let's see how this bad boy plays. The PlayStation Game Room just fine on this machine. But this is not the store with all Pandora's box, by the way. Wolfie time! Woo! Stay down. Yeah! Every freaking Pandora box I boot up, it still got this same issue. Oh, Cyberwolf! And it will run like shit. Let the frame drop begin. I must say this time it is not that bad. But still, it glitches from the select screen.
Get ready,
I have seen some shitty emulation, but this is not that bad in my opinion. Stay down. Next up. But you can see that we're going some weird stuff with the brightness. So when he came in more like going all brightness up and then it goes down. It's not like it should be. See, this is what I mean, man. Good speed, messy emulation.
Only the strongest will be chosen.
I'm not afraid anymore.
Battle 1. Fight!
Alright, the final test for MAME. Raiden. But so far so good. Let's see how the joystick works. Oh, for a Sonic clone it's not bad. Absolutely, flawless victory. Okay, let's take a close look at the settings. The settings not really special when you're looking at all the Pandora's box I've reviewed. For the people who didn't know, we're having key settings, coin, exit mode. You can set it to, let's say, pressing start and coin, long press menu. We're having auto exit, so if you don't play the game, we said later, after 3 minutes it will be automatically go to the main menu. You can disable it if you want to. Select mode, image optimization, that was set to HD when I was playing, so main. And to be honest, I just like to put it on disabled. There is no aspect ratio. And in my opinion, there is not a lot of stuff that is new to this. So we're having here game settings, and that does basically the same stuff like removing games, adding games, but you can't add games because we need a program for that. That's called Pandora do. Okay guys, so what do I think of the Pandora ADS or the Pandora box ADS? Doesn't even matter how you want to call this thing. It's very similar with all the boxes I have seen here in the Pandora jungle. For a great example is the Pandora Game 3D. It's exactly the same. Maybe the chip is slightly different, but in the end the performance are exactly the same. So when you're looking at PSP, it's more like going to the edge. It's not powerful enough to run all the games. I did notice some games run decent enough to enjoy. There are some awesome functionalities like 2 players, but overall, let's say up to PlayStation 1 it runs fine, and 64 don't even start about it. I booted up one game, but I know that's more like a mixed bag with these things. Yeah. The controls are decent, the casing I freaking hate this thing, like the casing itself. I have seen some nice casing, but this thing is more like if you need to replace the buttons, it's just a little bit of a pain in the ass. I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, guys, leave it in the comments, hit the little bell, and I will see you in the next video, in the new episode of the Pandora Jungle.